Congratulations to Tahereh Mafi. Brand new book right here, The Woven Kingdom, out in stores today. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So we know her from the Shatter Me series. This is the first time in a decade that you're talking about a brand new book, a brand new trilogy. Tell us a little bit about what we can expect in the book.
We're pitching it as if it were the Persian Game of Thrones with a bit of a Bridgerton vibe. So you can expect clashing empires and forbidden romance and lots of court intrigue and fun magic. And it was a lot of fun to write.
Especially, the stories that I love are the ones where people don't necessarily are destined to be together, but it turns into enemies, into friendship, into lover, into something else. Tell us a little about the two main characters and their struggle and their journey to get to know each other and what ultimately, well, not ultimately ended up happening because we want people to read the book, but the journey that they take.
Right. Well, without spoiling anything too much, I think I can say that the main character, Alize, is a long-lost heir to a Jinn kingdom, and she's living in hiding as a servant who moonlights as a seamstress. She's trying to make ends meet. And Kamran, the love interest, the other protagonist in the story, is the heir to the Ardunian Empire, which is the empire that everybody lives in, that even Alize lives in, and so they're drawn to each other. But it's basically her destiny to overthrow his overthrow his throne and overthrow his empire. And so there's a lot of built-in conflict there, but they're still drawn to each other despite the circumstances.
How does it feel to be able to write a whole new world, especially since you were in the Shatter Me for such a for long period of time, and now you're creating this whole new universe? You got this is the first in a trilogy of books. How does it feel to be able to to start something new and create something brand new?
It's exciting. It's my first new YA series, though I've written a number of other books since the Shatter Me series, but they were standalones. So this was, it was really fun to build. And I always enjoy the quiet time when, you're still building a world before anyone has read it. It always feels like a little secret between yourself and the characters, and getting lost in that space it was just really fun. It reminds you why you love to write to begin with.
Now, for someone who's unfamiliar with Persian mythology, tell us a little bit about some of the important parts of it that people can get excited when they start reading this book.
Well, so this book was definitely inspired in great part by Persian culture and certain, Persian traditions, and obviously food and like historical references to the Persian Empire. But it was also deeply inspired by the Shahnameh, which is this great epic poem written by the esteemed poet Ferdowsi. And the Shahnameh it's like 50,000 rhyming couplets. It is just a hugely celebrated work of art, beloved by Persian people worldwide, and performed the way that Shakespeare is performed. And I knew I wanted to draw upon some of those stories that were so familiar to me and that were shared with me when I was growing up. So you definitely see references to the Shahnameh in this story.
Let's talk a little bit about being a young adult author, because you have such a huge fan base, and especially during the pandemic, a lot of people either picked up reading or continue. They had books on their shelves that they're like, I'm going to go ahead and pick these up, or get into it, or people were sharing ideas. As far as social media and fans coming out to you, what's it been like the past couple of years as far as messages you might get on social media, especially from new fans and older fans that rediscovered your work?
It's amazing to have a fan base to connect with, to have readers I can connect with online. I think social media is an incredible tool. I think it's like a hammer. You can use it to build a house or break it down. And in the book community, at least, I think we use them to build a lot of things. We use social media to build a lot of things, and community is one of those things. And it's really nice to be able to share books and stories with people worldwide. Often, bookworms are not always, but often introverts. So to be able to find a community, even as an author, it's a wonderful and warm experience.
Oh, exactly. I mean, there's some people who, read every day, some people who read on the weekend, some people who wait till they go on vacation. And,
Yeah.
when we had all this time, you've been able to not, maybe not make excuses, but be able to take your passions and enjoy it on a more regular basis. And hopefully that's something that continues for
Yeah,
years to come.
absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about the elevated characters that you created in your universe. I mean, I think that's such a wonderful thing, especially for young adults to be able to learn. And tell us sort of about your process in that, and why that's so important to you.
Well, I love complex characters. I especially love morally gray characters. I have a lot of fun exploring the human psyche in general. I find the human heart absolutely fascinating. I often will just read psychology books in preparation. I mean, I think sometimes in preparation, directly in preparation for writing a novel, and often just for fun. But I find the mechanics of the way in which we think just really interesting.
Let's talk a little bit. You just mentioned morally gray area. Let's talk a little bit about that and how
Sure.
that's become a theme in this book and maybe some of your previous works as well too.
Yeah. Well, I really enjoy revealing characters, revealing the true nature of a character slowly over the course of the story. It keeps things interesting. And I think that in the same way that human beings constantly surprise us, and we can never really know who a person is until they are tested by certain situations. Um, I like to do the same thing with characters, put them in the tree and then set fire to the tree and then see what happens.
Oh, exactly. Well, congratulations on the brand new book, This Woven Kingdom, right here. I got to go ahead and finish up right there. Thank you so much for your time today. Oh, and then
Thank you.
next book. When does the next book come out in the series?
Next year.
Next year. All right. We look forward to
Yeah.
talking to you before then. If not, then next year we'll talk about it. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.